Tyler Perry is not playing games anymore. The man who once swooped in to rescue Meghan Markle and Prince Harry with a mansion, private jets, and round-clock security is now apparently demanding a return on his generosity.
And like me, who get tired of helping people and watch them dog you out.
And honestly, can you blame him? We're not talking about lending someone your Netflix password. We're talking about an $18 million house and some serious VIP level favors. It all started back in 2020 when Harry and Meghan had just bolted from the royal family and were floating around like two confused influencers without a brand deal. Tyler Perry, being the good guy, or maybe just wanted to be the behind-the-scenes fairy godfather, offered them his Beverly Hills estate. Rent-free, security covered, jets on standby. It was a Hollywood-level rescue mission, and Meghan lapped it up like it was her birthright. Fast forward to now and Tyler's fed up. He's not just annoyed. He's publicly airing out that he feels used and the timing of it all. Let's just say it couldn't be worse for Meghan. While her PR team's out here pushing headlines that she's made $16 million since her royal exit, Tyler's side eyeing a whole narrative and asking the one question that's probably been burning in his soul for years. Where's my money? It's not like Tyler's just being petty either. The man is currently juggling a $260 million lawsuit from an actor accusing him of harassment. And this isn't even the first one. This is accuser number 3. The first 2 mysteriously vanished after making noise settlements. Who knows? But what's clear is that Tyler's pockets are bleeding legal fees, and Meghan is over here launching jam brands and posing on magazine covers like nothing happened. People close to the situation say what really lit the fuse was Meghan reaching out one more time asking for his private jet. Just like that, no logistics, no warning, just a casual, "Hey, Tyler, mind if we borrow your jet real quick?" And when he said no, she reportedly flipped. Not just annoyed, furious. That was the breaking point. Tyler Perry was done. And that's when everything started leaking. Rumors about Meghan being difficult, cold, controlling. They weren't new. But now, Hollywood started speaking up. Suddenly, people who once kept quiet were openly calling her a dictator in heels, saying she puts staff in therapy and that she uses people until there's nothing left. Because once someone like Tyler Perry distances himself, others feel safe to talk. He was her shield, and now the shield is gone. Let's not forget Tyler Perry isn't some soft-hearted celebrity throwing money around for fun. He's the guy who said on record that he doesn't help his own family. His mother used to ask him to help other relatives, and he said no. He literally refuses to let his own son ride on his private jet. So, why in the world did he give Meghan and Harry all this? Maybe he believed their freedom flight sob story. Maybe he got caught up in the Netflix drama. But here's where it gets real shaky. Tyler claims Meghan was using his name in pitch meetings, telling Netflix investors he was backing her new projects, implying support that didn't exist. Once word got out that he wasn't actually involved, those investors walked. And now her future deals, they're hanging by a thread. Tyler's name opened doors. But now that he's slamming those doors shut, so is everyone else. So Meghan, with all her hustle and glam, might have forgotten one golden rule. Don't bite the hand that literally housed and protected you, especially not one holding receipts. Tyler Perry started making moves, and they weren't subtle. At an industry gala, when asked about Meghan Markle by a reporter, he gave a tight smile and said, "Some folks borrow blessings like they're owed but never return the favor." That line made its way through Hollywood faster than a scandal on a gossip blog. People knew exactly who he was talking about. The whispers grew louder. Executives started second-guessing partnerships. Meghan's calls to certain studios were suddenly going unanswered. Sources close to the situation said her name became radioactive in some circles. And Tyler, he didn't need to say anything else. He'd already said enough. The message was clear. This was personal. Behind the scenes, Meghan was scrambling. She had projects in development, proposals on the table, deals mid-negotiation. But when word got around that she'd name-dropped Tyler Perry to prop up her brand without his knowledge or permission, investors pulled back. One studio exec even said, "We're not buying into a fantasy pitch wrapped in someone else's reputation." Then came the text. Meghan, furious and panicked, began messaging Tyler directly, accusing him of trying to destroy her image. Insiders say she pulled out the guilt card, reminding him of everything they went through together, how he was Lily's godfather, how they thought him as family. But Tyler, he left those messages unread. No response, no explanation, just silence. That silence was louder than any public statement. Because when a man like Tyler Perry goes quiet, the bridge is not just burned, it's been nuked. And Tyler had his reasons. He was tired of being taken for granted, tired of people thinking generosity was a free pass for disrespect. There's something else to understand about Tyler. He doesn't just hand out favors. He has a long history of being calculated with his help. He's talked openly about choosing who he supports. And once he's done, he's done. For someone like Meghan to make the mistake of treating that as unlimited credit, that's not just ungrateful, it's reckless. Adding fuel to the fire were reports that Meghan had pitched a documentary about power and freedom, using subtle nods to her connection with Tyler. Some insiders claimed she even implied he was involved behind the scenes. Once that got back to him, it was game over. He wasn't just irritated, he was insulted. He felt like his generosity had been weaponized, used as leverage in a clout campaign he never signed up for. And for someone who spent his whole career building his empire, without handouts, that hit a nerve. Tyler isn't the kind of guy who likes to be made a fool of, and that's exactly how he felt. Meanwhile, Meghan's public image began to shift. Stories about her being difficult weren't new, but now they had weight. Now they had Tyler Perry's silence backing them. And in Hollywood, silence from someone powerful can be more damning than a full-blown press conference. She was still smiling for the cameras, but people behind the scenes were starting to distance themselves. Brands grew cautious. Producers reconsidered collaborations. Everyone in that tight-knit circle knew that if Tyler had turned his back, something serious had gone down. For Meghan, who built her post-royal brand on powerful friendships and elite access, this was a full-on red flag. And no amount of PR spin could undo the damage. Because once you lose a name like Tyler Perry, it's not just a relationship. It's a ripple effect across an entire industry. Meghan had made Tyler Perry the godfather of her daughter Lily in a move that seemed heartfelt at the time. It was framed as an honor, a gesture of trust, but now it looked more like a strategic favor, a bond she assumed would keep him loyal, quiet, and forever indebted to the image she wanted to present. Tyler wasn't buying it anymore. Friends close to him said he felt manipulated, not just by the emotional theatrics Meghan was known for, but by the subtle ways she twisted narratives. He'd given her shelter, privacy, and safety during a time when the media circus around her and Harry was at its peak. And yet, not once had she publicly acknowledged that generosity in any meaningful way. Instead, she used his kindness as a branding tool, something she could casually reference when it benefited her. And then came the kicker. Meghan reportedly tried to get one last ride on Tyler's private jet. It wasn't a dire emergency. It wasn't life or death. It was just another favor, like asking to borrow sugar from a neighbor. But for Tyler, it was a final straw. He said no. That simple refusal, one she didn't expect, triggered a meltdown. Sources say Meghan exploded in a flurry of texts and voice messages accusing him of turning on her, of abandoning her in a time of need. But Tyler, who was already dealing with the legal nightmare of a third lawsuit and the pressure of protecting his own name, had no more patience for guilt trips. Her reaction only confirmed what he'd been suspecting for a while, that she saw people as utility. Now, friends, not supporters, just tools. Tyler wasn't about to let that slide. He didn't leak anything himself, but he didn't stop others either. The people who'd been quiet, assistants, friends of friends, industry insiders, they started talking. Stories began surfacing about Meghan's behavior behind closed doors. The dictator in heels, the team members who needed therapy, the whispered accounts of her manipulating every situation until it bent to her will. Without Tyler's quiet endorsement in the background, she was exposed. Her upcoming Netflix deals hit roadblocks. Brands got skittish. The investors that had once lined up to work with the Duchess turned producer were now holding emergency meetings, reevaluating. One executive was even overheard saying, "It's not worth the drama." To make things worse, Tyler reportedly found out that Meghan had included intimate clips and behind-scenes footage of her and Harry in their Netflix doc while staying at his house. And not just included them, he believed they were sent to him directly at one point. Whether that was meant to keep him loyal, flatter him, or manipulate his emotions, it backfired. Voyeurism is not a gift. It's not a thank you card. It's creepy. And if that was part of her strategy, it crossed a line. Tyler wanted none of it. Whatever connection they had, whatever bond had once felt genuine was now buried under layers of resentment and disgust. He walked away. No response, no dramatic post, just a hard exit. Meghan could send 100 texts. They'd all sit there unread or ignored. Tyler was done. And now Meghan is stuck in a reputation spiral. She tried to climb the Hollywood ladder by stepping on the very people who gave her a boost. And Tyler Perry, a man with reach, power, and receipts, decided to pull the plug. The lesson: don't mistake kindness for weakness. And never, ever think someone owes you loyalty just because you made them your backup plan.